Hi, my name is Joseph Tan, and welcome to Emmaus Heartburn as we open the pages of the Bible and allow Jesus to explain to us the things concerning himself in all the scriptures. This section of Numbers is a challenging portion to read, not only in terms of its literary features, but also in terms of the literal frustrations depicted. After the year-long boot camp at Mount Sinai, you would think that the sons of Israel would be all pumped up to march on to claim and conquer the promised land, but they end up being conquered instead. Being conquered not by external enemies, but by internal opposition. The worst type of threat any leadership can face is that which comes from within, because a house divided against itself will not be able to stand. As you read through Numbers 11 to 30 this week, be on the lookout for the twin test of leadership challenge faced by Moses in the form of complaining followers and comparing rivals. You can almost feel Moses being sandwiched between the people he leads and the people leading together with him. This burden of leadership was so heavy that Yahweh summoned 70 elders to share this leadership with Moses. Look at Numbers 11, verse 16 to 17. The phrase tent of meetings appears 56 times in the book of Numbers, indicating the numerous times that Moses and the leadership needed to come before the presence of Yahweh, even as the wilderness journey becomes more challenging. To help you connect the dots, the Bible Project has an overview graphical illustration for each book of the Bible. So for example, here is how the graphical illustration for the book of Numbers looked like. It actually tells you an overview of the journey through the wilderness and what are some of the key events to be looking out for. This is a very helpful visual aid for you as you read through the book of Numbers or any book of the Bible for that matter. So check out in the blog for the download link as to how you can get this copy of a graphical illustration of the overview of any book in the Bible. And we're looking specifically at Numbers, and it's an amazing help. In reading through Numbers, bear in mind the 3 geographical locations interspersed with 2 road trips. Location number 1 is the preparation at Mount Sinai. That's from chapter 1 to 10. Then the Israelites went for a road trip, Numbers 11 to 12, which resulted in more complaining and comparing. Location number 2 is the wilderness of Paran. That's from Numbers 13 to 19. And that led on to road trip number 2, which is more complaining, grumbling, and ensuing judgment. That's Numbers 20 to 21. And the third and final location is the plains of Moab, Numbers 22 to 36. Because this is such an emotionally intense journey through the wilderness, filled with the drama of human conflict and divine interventions, it is helpful to supplement the prose reading of Numbers with the poetry writings of Psalms. For example, Psalms 78 gives you a heartfelt rendition of the emotional churnings that is going on in the people's heart, but also the perspective from the Lord's angle as well. Psalms 78 verse 8 describes the people as a generation that did not prepare its heart and whose spirit is not faithful to God. Consider the grace of Yahweh as he continues to guide his people in the wilderness in spite of their unfaithfulness. Why? Because he is a covenant-keeping God. Here's an activity idea for you to consider. For those who are in ministry, serving and leading the people of God, there are surely burdens that they bear constantly. Some of those burdens may even be caused by internal misunderstanding and conflict. As you go into your own tent of meeting or prayer closet this week, pray to God to give you a sensitive heart to be keenly aware of the burdens faced by your leaders. You know it can be lonely at the top, where people expect you to have it all together. Perhaps you can discuss as a family, how you can help to lighten the burden of those whom God has placed over you as leaders and shepherds. It could be an encouraging text, a casual phone call, a thoughtful gift, or even a grateful conversation. One regular emotional challenge that leaders face is this: it is the emotion of discouragement. And we as followers should do our part to encourage them regularly, especially in seasons of wilderness wanderings. In Numbers 21, the people again got discouraged, and in their unbelief, they murmured against Moses for bringing them into the wilderness. They had already forgotten that it was their own sin that caused them to be there, and they tried to blame Moses for it. As a judgment against the people for their sin, God sent poisonous serpents into the camp, and people began to die. This showed the people that they were the ones in sin, and they came to Moses to confess that sin and ask God for mercy. When Moses prayed for the people, God instructed him to make a bronze serpent and put it on a pole so that the people who look at it could be healed. The next reference we find in the Bible to this serpent is in John 3, verse 14. Jesus indicated that this bronze serpent was a foreshadowing of him. The serpent, a symbol of sin and judgment, was lifted up from the earth and put on a tree, which was a symbol of a curse. The serpent lifted up and cursed symbolized Jesus, who takes away sin from everyone who would look to him in faith, just like the Israelites had to look at the symbol in the wilderness. Paul is reminding the Galatians that Jesus became a curse for us, although he was blameless and sinless, the spotless Lamb of God. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. What a marvelous symbol of God's mercy, even in the midst of judgment. Thank God for the cross. May your hearts continue to burn within you as Jesus Christ explained the pages of scriptures personally to you in your Emmaus journey. We welcome your comments, feedback, and questions. Do post them in the comment section of the blog below.